Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, good morning, good morning, good morning, and namaste. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. If you haven't joined us before, then welcome. Thanks for coming. This is Ken at 10. We broadcast about all things property every day, every weekday, live at 10 o'clock, hence Ken at 10. And we're James Alexander Estate Agents. So we're at the coalface selling and renting property every day and letting you know what's going on, what it's like out there. And we're getting to the end of January now, so we're getting a real feel for how the market feels right now. A lot of people are unsure, a lot of strange things going on, aren't there? You know, what with interest rates on the up, albeit very slight rises from where they were. You know, we're talking about probably less than 1% at the end of the year, although we're well below that at the moment. And the relative change is very small compared with what it has been in the past. So I suspect that won't be the biggest deal ever, but obviously there are other squeezes as well with inflation, a few other bits and pieces. So be interesting to see what goes on there, together with, of course, we've still got coronavirus with it, albeit not as bad as it was. And hopefully that's going to start to recede even more. Certainly the numbers suggest so far. As far as sentiment is concerned, there's a lot of confidence out there. Buyers are feeling good. They're feeling confident. They're feeling like if they buy something today, it will probably be worth a bit more next year, maybe a lot more, but certainly a bit more. And that's really where I like the market to be the sweet spot. So there's confidence, people can make buying decisions. It's not mad, so people can't afford to get in, and it's not crazy, so there's a whole raft of disappointment around as well. What we are finding, though, is there is certainly an undersupply of property and an oversupply of buyers, and that's unusual for this time of year. Normally we find it's a lot quieter all round because there aren't so many people looking to buy. But this year, the wave of confidence brought on by last year and some of the meteoric rises elsewhere in the country, and London reopening, certainly has meant that there's a lot of people in London that are looking around for the next property that goes on for sale. So there's a lot of invisible sales going on as well, where things are coming to market and the sales are being agreed, perhaps even not hitting the right moves and Zoopla and things. The most and least affordable areas for first-time buyers are listed today in the Times, City AM and the Express, and it reveals it in Nationwide's local affordability report. First-time buyers face spending at least 6 times their annual wages to get on the property ladder in 45% of Britain's local authority areas. That's a lot, isn't it? When you think mortgages these days, they can go up to as much as sort of 5 times your income, sometimes even a bit more, but it's a huge multiple of your salary, isn't it? And in comparison, back in 2016, just over a third, 35% of local authority areas had average house price to earnings ratios of 6 or more. So that's jumped considerably. The London Borough of Kensington and Chelsea is the least affordable place for those trying to get on the ladder, and that's not surprising, is it? And East Ayrshire in Scotland remains the most affordable. Nationwide's report found first-time buyers face paying nearly 15 times their earnings to buy a home in Kensington and Chelsea, although quite often in those areas, bank and mum and dad helps a lot, I suspect, compared with just under 2.5 times earnings in East Ayrshire. Nationwide said most authorities in the southwest have seen a deterioration in affordability over the past year. Rutland, the smallest historic county in England, remains the least affordable authority in the East Midlands. And of course, you've got that beautiful lake there as well. I've got a client that lives up there and spends his days fishing for salmon and then distributing them to the community, and in return, getting back other things from the community, such as veg and things. A real interchange community there, something extraordinary and really harks back to the old days. So a special place, Rutland. East Midlands, in the least affordable part of the East Midlands, it's the Malvern Hills, which are beautiful. If you ever get a chance, I do recommend you go there. Absolutely stunning place. In Wales, the Vale of Glamorgan has replaced Cardiff as the least affordable area. So on from that, we're going to tell you about the friendliest places to live in the UK as well, and the most miserable. Stand by for that. Nearly half of UK renters want to buy out their landlord. This is an article in the Express, and that's rather than move. So I think that's, we find that a lot. We've got hundreds of tenants here. We find people get comfortable in their home. They like the environment. They want the security of being able to settle with their family. And it's always a frustration for them that they can't get that added security. We just had one just yesterday where lovely family that we had with us for many, many years. And we moved them last time because the landlord wanted to sell. And again, we're in that same situation. And it's very frustrating for tenants. It would be lovely if the market could open up a little bit more for people that are tenants. What we find a lot is that tenants are easily able to afford the mortgage payments, and those mortgage payments would quite often equate to exactly the same actual payment on a mortgage, the rental payments would equate to the same as the payments on a mortgage, more or less. The difficulty for people is finding the deposit to get on the ladder typically, and also being seen as the salary multiples being seen as affordable to that family, because quite often it's very tight for them. But I think that lenders should be taking account of the fact that if they've paid a rent of, 1,800 per calendar month over the last 2 years, why wouldn't they be able to pay a mortgage of that same amount? And I think lenders need to place more weight on these kind of things. And hopefully that's coming now. We've got open banking and people can look into more detail on those sorts of things. The majority of these renters said they would like to buy their current rental home if it were feasible. This equates to 45% of renters compared to 38% of social tenants. The majority of renters range in ages between 25 years old and 34, with more than half keen to buy the home they're currently living in. This compares to just under 1 in 3 of those aged between 65 to 74. That age group is least motivated to buy at their landlord. London sees the highest proportion of tenants keen to buy the current home at 53%, while those in the northeast are least likely. Well, that's interesting because we'll come on to the research now that I was mentioning. The friendliest places to live in the UK. Well, I'd say Norbury. Of course I would. Where we are in Norbury, there's some lovely people in Norbury, and a lot of my very close friends are here where we work in Norbury, Southwest 16. So we're number one. Forget the article. But there's an article in the Mirror today, and what they say is this. They say a new study has revealed the friendliest and grumpiest parts of the UK. Research conducted by First Mortgage found that people living in the northeast are 33% more likely to have a grumpy neighbour. That's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at the last article, she said, and the article was in a different paper in the Express, it says that those in the northeast are least likely to want to buy their home. So those living there clearly aren't happy. You're most likely to have a grumpy neighbour after all, apparently. This was followed by Northern Ireland at 31%. In third place was Wales with 27% likelihood. Meanwhile, 71% of respondents in the West Midlands said they felt welcomed by their neighbours. Well, we find that whenever we go up to the West Midlands where we have some family, there's a real warmth about the folk up there. We love it up there. 5% above the national average, that is, of 66%. Some 70% of respondents from Yorkshire also said they're welcoming neighbours, and 60% in the East Midlands. London scored well as well, with 68% of people saying they felt their neighbours were welcoming. I find in London we're a bit colder than that, to be frank. We're very much a kind of good morning, good evening, and that's about it. I find that other parts of the country, there's more of a kind of village and a sense of community. And in the smaller areas, like Norbury here, there is an element of and a sense of community and lots of things going on that you can get involved with. Apart from that, busy day today. We've got inspections, valuations, loads of appointments, lots of tenants looking to rent and not enough property available. So if that's something you can help with, then do give us a call. If you're considering marketing, of course, approach us if you want frank and honest answers to your questions, because that's all we do here at JA. And so far, beginning of the year, initial thoughts, lots of confidence out there. Will it continue? Well, there's a lot of hurdles, lots of hurdles in the way this year. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops. What we want to see is a steady stream of confidence, not massive price rises, maybe small price rises, just to give enough confidence for people to move forwards. And it looks like we're going to get there this year. We'll keep you informed. As usual, look after yourselves, and if you can, your friends and neighbours. Stay safe and well. See you tomorrow.